Hi everyone and welcome to this video. Today we'll be making this skirt. It's a very easy and beginner friendly skirt and it will take like only 20 minutes. You will need 1.5 meters of thin flowy fabric, also some elastic, the length of your waist and some yarn. You'll need to cut a square out of the fabric and I want my skirt to be 40 centimeters long, but I have a waistband of 5 centimeters, so I have to add in these 5 centimeters. But you also need to add in 2 centimeters of seam allowance for the bottom of the skirt, but also for the top when sewing in the waistband. So eventually my square will be 150 centimeters by 49 centimeters. So I'm just measuring at 49 and then I'm putting a mark here. And after I've done that for the whole width, I'm just gonna cut along this line to create my square. And then I'll start by hemming the bottom of the skirt. I'm just folding the raw edge over to create this small fold. It's not really precise. If you want it to be exactly 2 centimeters, you can mark at 2 centimeters, fold it over and even iron it in. But I'm just using some guidelines on my sewing machine, so the hem will be even. I'm making sure that the right side, like the fold, is following this line and the left side, so the raw edge, is following the left side of the foot, so this line. And then I'm just making sure while sewing that this is consistent. Like the whole time that I'm sewing, the right side of the fabric will follow that line and the left side of the fabric will follow the left side of the foot. So I'm just guiding with my hands, adjusting a little bit, making sure it's consistent. And then you will end up with this simple but neat hem. Now we're moving on to the waistband. And for the waistband we will need elastic. And as I said before, this has to be the size of your waist plus 1 centimeter. Before moving on with the waistband, I'm just tying some yarn to the elastic. You will see later why it's to get it out of the waistband. Make sure you're not cutting the yarn, but keep a very big piece connected to it. Because now we'll be placing it on the fabric, not on the hem side, but on the raw edge side. And then we'll be folding the fabric over this elastic to create a waistband eventually. After folding, you will have about 1 centimeter of fabric sticking out on the top side of the elastic, so we can pin it down. I'm just using the width of my finger as like my guide, but if you want it very neat, have like the same distance everywhere, just get out your measuring tape and make sure it's 1 centimeter or 2 centimeter for the whole fold, like excess fabric of the fold. So eventually you will run out of elastic to fold the fabric over. So you will just fold it over the yarn and make sure that it's as big as before. So measure it with your measuring tape. Once again, I'm using my finger to make sure the distance is equal. But that's just because I'm lazy. So now we'll be sewing along the pinned edge and I'm just taping an indicator. This is an indicator for the right side of the fabric. The right side of the fabric will follow this tape, and the left side will once again follow the left side of my sewing foot. It's very important to make sure that no elastic or yarn is getting caught while sewing. So make sure that's on the right side of the needle. And now, before doing anything else, you have to sew in the elastic. If you remove anything, it's very hard to get it out again. It's also the point of the yarn, so we can pull it out. So before doing anything else, just sew in the elastic. I'm also performing a few back stitches because you really want the elastic to be properly sewn in. Okay, so now that the waistband and elastic is sewn in, you can see why you needed a big piece of yarn sticking out, so you can pull out the elastic band. So just gently guide the fabric over the elastic, as I'm doing right here. It's a bit of a hassle and tedious work, but yeah, you just have to do it. And even though the yarn is tied to the elastic, be gentle because it can still snap off or something, and then it gets even more tedious. So be gentle. Now you can remove the pin and the yarn, and then we'll be sewing the elastic to the waistband again. And make sure to pin it down before, because it can still disappear inside the waistband, and then it'll just become more of a hassle than it has to be. And now the only thing that's left to do is to connect these two sides together. I always start at the top because I don't want this to be crooked. I want this to be even and aligned. And after pinning it down here, I'll just pin further along till I reach the bottom hem. And then we'll be sewing these sides together. I would say 1 centimeter away from the edge, but if I was trying mine on and I wanted it to be even smaller, so I was sewing like 3 centimeters away from the edge, and you can just do the same. So try it on, and if you want it to be wider, you can sew closer to the edge, and if you also want it to be smaller, just sew further away from the edge. And then I'm just cutting away excess fabric. You could finish the raw edge with a zigzag stitch. I didn't do it, but that would be even neater, and I actually do recommend it. I don't know why I didn't do it, but that battles fringing, and it's even more secure because you have like 2 rows, 2 stitches, a normal stitch and a zigzag stitch. So I would recommend it. And so this is the end project. And I thought I was done, but I've worn it a couple times and it's been in the washing machine. And the waistband, the elastic band will get all twisted. It will turn around and it's just very annoying. So to fix this, I'm just sewing in a few stitches to secure the elastic band to the fabric so it can't move around and turn. And I'm just doing this in the middle, like you have the 2 seams you've sewn in, and I'm just sewing a straight line in the middle of these 2 seams on each side. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like the skirt as much as I do. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye!